I am so excited about planning this summer vacation, but where should I go? Should I go to a tropical beach? Or perhaps a secluded cabin in the woods? Or perhaps I should just go to the airport, see which flights aren't full, and then just pick one. I'm just happy to be able to travel again. Hello, English learners. In today's lesson, we will talk about vocabulary related to travel. Specifically, vocabulary we would use at an airport. We're also going to talk about ways to talk about travel in general. So if this sort of topic interests you, keep watching. Okay, so you're at the airport and the airline attendant asks you, would you like a one-way ticket? So a one-way ticket is a ticket from one destination to the next in one direction. So maybe if you are moving to a new city, you would just get a one-way ticket because you don't plan on returning. And then we have a round trip ticket. So this is a ticket from your starting point to a destination, and then back to your starting point. So if you're just going on a vacation, you'd probably get a round trip ticket because they're a little bit cheaper. So you're at this concierge and you check in. And this just means to formally say that you've arrived at the airport and you are ready to get on your plane. You might also check in some bags. This just means you're handing over that luggage to the airline so they can put it on the plane for you. Checking in luggage. So once you've checked in that luggage, you would be handed a boarding pass. That's just the little ticket that you need to actually get on the plane, the boarding pass. And then you are off to the terminal. So this is the building, or it might be a group of buildings depending on the airport. And this is where you transfer from ground transportation, so the outside, to the airplanes and vice versa. So here in the terminal, you will find gates. What are gates? The gate is the specific area in the terminal where you'll see people sitting in chairs waiting to get on their plane, where you'll see people getting on the airplane and getting off the airplane. And there's another more specific term we use to talk about people getting on the plane, and it is to board. So instead of saying, I'm getting on the plane, you can say, we're about to board the plane. And then we have a carry-on. A carry-on is a type of bag that you carry on the plane with you. So the cabin is the part of the airplane where the passengers are. And usually in the cabin, you'll find the cabin crew. So the cabin crew are the workers on an airplane that work in the cabin. So this would not really include the pilot because they're not in the cabin, right? So maybe the flight attendants or different people who might cook food on an airplane. These are people who are a part of the cabin crew. And if you've been on an airplane, I know sometimes you've experienced those strong gusts of wind. We call this turbulence. Turbulence. And if you're lucky, you might be on a non-stop flight. A non-stop flight is a flight that goes from the origin, where you start, to the destination with no stops in between. You are on a non-stop flight. If you are not on a non-stop flight, you probably have a layover. So this is a period of time during your travel, during your journey, when you are not traveling. So if you're going from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, you might have a layover in Chicago for a few hours or maybe a day. Okay, and finally, you have arrived at your destination. You have touched down. That means the airplane has landed, touched down. And once the airplane has landed, you and all of your fellow passengers can deboard the plane. That means to get off the plane. And remember, to get on the plane is to board. To get off, deboard. And then you might stop by passport control. This is just the part of the airport where some worker at the airport checks your passport, maybe to make sure you have the correct visa or for whatever reason. You might also go through customs, and this is just the area of the airport where workers check the goods that you bring into their country. They might want to make sure you're not bringing in any illegal foods or medicines or animals. And an itinerary, it can be pretty difficult to say. Itinerary. So this is just, in general, the plans you make for your trip. So they can be specific plans, what you want to do on a daily basis. They can be your overall schedule of events, but usually people have some sort of itinerary before they travel. And if you are traveling by air, chances are you didn't bring your car with you. You might rent a car, but sometimes you might have to hail a taxi. Hail a taxi. It just means to get the attention of a taxi. If you're lucky, you might be staying at an all-inclusive resort or an all-inclusive hotel. This just means you get all that the hotel or resort has to offer for just one price. So if your hotel is all-inclusive, you don't have to pay extra for meals or for the spa or what have you. Just one price, all-inclusive. And chances are, if you've traveled for a long time and to a faraway place, you might experience some jet lag. Jet lag is a feeling of tiredness after a long plane journey. This usually happens to me for a couple of days. I experience jet lag. Some people don't experience jet lag at all, and I wish I were like them. Now we will talk about different ways to describe or talk about travel, okay? So the first one is a type of travel that I've never done, but I've always wanted to do, and it is backpacking. So this is traveling with just a backpack. So the essentials that you would need, maybe your clothes, your toothbrush, a first aid kit, whatever. And usually backpackers, they're not staying at these fancy resorts and spending lots of money. You might be a traveler who likes to go off the beaten path. If you like to travel off the beaten path, you like to go to places that are not very well known to tourists or are very remote. So maybe you're interested in going to restaurants that are just known to locals, or maybe your destination is in a place where not many tourists would go. You like to go off the beaten path. So I like to take vacations, even if it's just a small one, every few months, just for some R&R. And R&R is short for rest and relaxation, or sometimes rest and recreation. This is just a time that you might need to recoup, refresh yourself. You just need some R&R. So let's say you're going to an English-speaking country, and someone from that English-speaking country notices that you're not really from there. So they might ask you, are you here for work or pleasure? This just means, are you traveling for your job, for work, or just for fun, work or pleasure? I know many of us have this, especially given the circumstances that we have all been in this past year. You might have a little travel bug. So a travel bug is an urge, a want you have to travel, to go on a vacation. I know I certainly have the travel bug right now. Another term that we use that is very similar to travel bug is wanderlust. Wanderlust. Also a strong desire to travel. As many of you might already know, to pack To pack is to gather items to put into a bag, a container, your luggage. You're packing for a vacation. Sometimes people overpack, meaning they pack too much stuff, too many things for the trip. I personally tend to underpack, meaning I pack too little for my trip. So usually when I pack and then I arrive at my destination, I'm having to buy things because I didn't pack enough. I underpacked. Next, we have two phrases, well, one word and then a phrase, and that is a getaway. A getaway is just a vacation. Sometimes people like to go on weekend getaways. That means a vacation that lasts just the weekend. And to get away means to go for a vacation. So we could also say, I like to get away on the weekends. Do you like to go on weekend getaways? Let me know in the comments. So while you're on vacation, you might come across digital nomads, or you might be a digital nomad. So a digital nomad is someone who works from their computer and can travel and work from different locations. So if you're a digital nomad, you might be working from your laptop and on the beach simultaneously. Good for you. And that is the end of this video on different travel vocabulary terms. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. If it was useful, make sure to give me a like, subscribe if you have not already. Feel free to click the share icon below if you think that anyone you know might find this video useful as well. And until next time, English learners.